좀 말했으면 참 미네드메드치에트 미네
얘야, 괜찮니?
아까르치에트 참 미네드메드치에트 미네는 베스타스
내일을
저그도 말했어.
이런 힘들어 보이는구나. 자, 진정하거라 얘야. 내가 도와줄게.
오지마.
내 일을 내가 널 그렇게 키웠니?
아니 엄마. 하지만 이 짐은 저 혼자 짊어져야 해요. 아카르트의 무덤으로 가야 한다고요.
하지만 보렴, 스스로를 해치고 있잖니.
얼마나 더 버틸 수 있을지 모르겠어요.
엄마가 있단다, 우리 아가.
정말로 보고 싶었어요.
참 기특하기도 하지. 그래도 이젠 전부 포기해라.
안 돼, 안 돼, 안 돼! 역시 네 놈이었어! 해물자식! 당장이가
노라고. 안 되지. 네가 내린 선택이니까. 미리 경고하지 않았더냐, 아가야. 대가가 따를 것이라고.
포기해라.
아니, 안 돼! 영혼석은 내가 통제해!
들고 있을 뿐이지. 네가 할 수 있는 건 없다.
아저씨 말이 맞아요. 도움을 받아야 할지도 모르겠어요. 아카르트 치르스 차참 밀리트메이트 치에트 밀리메스타스.
I'm the game director of Vessel of Hatred, Diablo 4's first expansion. Vessel of Hatred is a story of isolation and the impacts it has on you when you're trying to protect the things that matter to you most. On October 8th, you'll get a chance to play that next chapter and a whole lot more. And now that we've shown you the first few moments of our story, let's talk class. On July 18th, in our live stream, we'll be revealing the gameplay for our all-new class, the Spiritborn. Spiritborn are apex predators built for the jungle, with a flow and a feel I can't wait for you to experience. Lastly, we wanted to take a moment to celebrate our announcement by going live with pets, who follow you on your adventure, picking up golden materials along the way. If you log in right now, like right now, there's a good boy waiting for you in Gyovashad. And if you pre-purchase the Ultimate Edition, you'll get our themed Nahantu pets, Warcat mount, and a host of other cosmetics.
우리 중 홀령사가 될 수 있는 건 소수에 불과하다. 어린 시절 가장 뛰어난 아이들이 안개 속에서 시험을 봤지. 시련의 시작과 끝은 고통으로 점철된다. 부름받지 못하면 버려질 뿐. 나약한 자의 여정은 여기서 끝나지만 자격을 갖춘 자에겐 피할 데 없는 힘과 그 힘을 제대로 다룰 신성한 임무가 기다린다. 필멸 세계는 우릴 무너뜨리려 한다. 마음과 정신, 육신까지도. 허나 또 다른 세계가 우릴 강하게 만든다. 우리에게 두려움은 없다. 대적할 자도 없고 형상이 없는 땅에 고대 수호자들이 우리와 함께할지어니 그들의 힘이 곧 우리의 힘이요 그들의 뜻이 곧 우리의 뜻이다. 홀령계와의 깨지지 않는 결석으로 이 세계의 공포를 몰아내리라. 우린 홀령사다.
Vessel of Hatred is Diablo 4's first major expansion, where we will venture far into the dense jungles of Nahantu. It's an ancient place with a deep connection to the spirit realm, and it's here that we find our new class. The Spiritborn is an apex predator of the jungle, whose fighting style is swift, hard-hitting, and extremely agile. They are warriors with the ability to call massive spirit guardians directly into battle. Their speed in combat makes them one of the most mobile classes in the game, and their ability to blend powers from multiple spirit guardians makes them the most customizable as well. So without further ado, let's take a look at Diablo 4's all-new class, the Spiritborn.
There's a whole story to tell with these spirit guardians. It's a class that's so rooted in the world of Nahantu. They're able to connect with the spirit realm in a way that no other people have.
You call the spirit guardians into battle with you. They infuse all of your skills and you channel and fight alongside them.
I remember early in development, the class team coming to me so excited about this piece of concept art. It was a hero holding this quarterstaff high into the sky, and this massive spirit creature was rising up behind him. And that's where the Spiritborn began.
The Spirit Guardians are the four main spirits that the Spiritborn works with.
We have the eagle, the centipede, the jaguar, and the gorilla.
The eagle is mostly based around precision and impact and movement throughout the battlefield. They're really good at taking down priority targets and getting in and out of combat.
With the centipede, a lot of that is about crowd control. You have poison primarily that helps slowly over time kind of take them down and feed that poison into them.
The jaguar is a fire damage type, which if you think about fire, it's fast, it's ferocious, it's vicious.
It's all about that hard, swift, slashing, hitting action that you would expect from a predator, a hunter.
The gorilla is very defensive. When you think of a tank type of class or a fighting style, that's the gorilla.
They're able to both take damage but also deal it back to anybody who hurts them.
I think we're covering a nice spectrum of themes going from the gorilla to the centipede. It gives players a lot to choose from.
Even though a lot of our powers are inspired from many classes that we've seen across the franchise, we really felt it was important to do something new.
The Spiritborn's playstyle is very unique because it's got the speed and the agility of the rogue, but it's also physically brutal, just like the barbarian, and that's all layered with these fantastical effects, very similar to the sorcerer.
Combat feels really important. It feels very different than any of the other classes, while still feeling very visceral and impactful.
You can assign skills for any of the spirit guardians to your skill bar, like maybe something from Jaguar that you want to hit quick and you want to hit hard, but you also want to have an option to defend yourself and maybe take a step back, so then you would choose something from the Gorilla skill kit instead.
The Spiritborn's class mechanic is called the Spirit Hall. Players can choose from the 4 spirits to empower their skills with a passive ability that allows them to further customize their builds with devastating effects based on each spirit's core themes. There's a playstyle to fit anyone. If the lightning eagle really resonates, you can go full eagle, or you can mix and match and do whatever you like depending on how you like to play.
The ultimates are all pretty amazing because you manifest the entire spirit into the world and they destroy everything for you while powering you up.
The centipede, for example, it bursts out of the ground. It's basically throwing poison everywhere, and it just feels really awesome, and it makes you feel insanely powerful.
The Spiritborn's bringing 2 new weapons to the game. The first one was the glaive. It's a double-bladed staff weapon that's very focused around heavy damage.
We chose the glaive because it lends itself well to the martial arts fighting style that the Spiritborn has.
The second new weapon that the Spiritborn is bringing is the quarterstaff. It's a very fast and very agile weapon. They're often punching or kicking their enemies, but if they want to extend themselves into battle, the glaive and the quarterstaff really allow them to do that. Along with these new weapon types, the Spiritborn will also have brand new legendary affixes to complement a player's preferred build and playstyle.
You're in combat, building up this momentum, gathering all the energy from these spirit creatures, and then unleashing those spirits upon the battlefield. It's such a good flow that you want to repeat that over and over again.
Each of the guardian spirits are infused with personality and different types of visuals. That ability to make your own version of a Spiritborn is a highlight that players will really enjoy.
As you see more of the story and understand why the ancestry and the spirit guardians are so important to Spiritborn, seeing that tie-in in a very unique new way is going to be an exciting thing for players to experience.
괴로움, 정막, 공포. 그게 우리가 아는 성욕의 길이다. 하지만 우리 중 몇몇은 다른 길을 택했지. 비밀스러운 맹약에 따라 우리를 찾는 이들을 위해 싸우리라. 내 방패로 지켜주겠네. 성역에 가장 악독한 자들과 싸우던 때도 있었지.
멍청이들 갈수록 흉악해지는군.
우리 내면에 악마만 남기 전까지 말이다. 하지만 증오의 귀환으로 우리는 다시 빛을 보게 되었다.
내 칼에 네 피를 바쳐라.
지금은 그림자 속에서 지켜보며 기다리고 있지만 결코 자유로울 순 없다. 우리 정체성과 기치. 제발 안 돼. 그리고 내면에 타오르는 분노로부터. 뒤는 내가 맡겠다.
나도 간다.
실망시키지 않겠습니다.
물러서!
보고 쏘고
홀로 보내주마.
잡게!
머릿수가 곧 힘이죠.
나는 자네의 수호자라네.
저는 당신의 구원입니다.
저는 당신의 복수예요.
나는 네 분노야.
우리는 창백한 손이다. 우리와 함께라면 더는 혼자 싸울 필요 없지.
In Vessel of Hatred, we travel south to Nahantu, a region with both deep ancient jungles and vast sprawling plains. It's the last stretch of land in Sanctuary's eastern continent, and we've packed it full of experiences for every type of player. In this expansion, there's a whole lot to explore under the dark canopy of Nahantu.
Nahantu is the southernmost region of the eastern continent that Diablo 4 has been taking place in. It's the last region that we haven't visited yet so far in the game, but it is one that we've been to before in Diablo.
There's lots of new areas. We have 6 in total. 4 of them are jungle themed, and then we have 2 that are Red Rock Canyon, but each one of them has their own unique identity. When you first arrive in Nahantu, you're in this place called Lingering Hatred. This is high treetops canopies where you're almost walking amongst the branches high above the jungle floor.
Imagine a thick canopy that the light is just barely poking through.
The whole area has been infected by this thing called the Hollows infestation. The Hollows are a new enemy that's associated with Mephisto. They themselves are kind of like a tar-like substance creature born straight out of the depths of hell.
It feels a little twisted. There's a sickness to the area itself.
Humans have ventured into this deep part of the jungle where there's all this poisonous plants and flora. The dregs actually started experimenting with eating these hallucinogens, and it put them into this aggressive psycho rage.
The dregs were pretty fun because we were able to push more variety in the monster family. You have one of these tall dregs and then half of a body of another dreg on top of it, kind of controlling it and telling it where to go and tossing poisonous bombs at the player. When you come across it, it's very memorable.
And then we've also got the area of Tenganse, where you've got the Tenganse Plateau, which is full of these red rocked plateaus and canyons.
Imagine getting up above the land. Those gigantic walls have pockets inside where monsters could live. It offered up a lot of opportunity to bring back a monster family like the Lacunae.
We're bringing them back in a new way here as a fully fleshed out monster family with multiple classes.
What a more brute force looks like, what a caster looks like. They are very much apex predators, and we're definitely in their territory. And then there's a little sub-area called the Skittering Earth.
The name alone makes your skin crawl.
It's bug infested, and you can see how the bugs have destroyed the jungles and kind of input their influence on it. Within the Field of Giants, you have these giant corpses of these long-dead demons that humans have begun to mine away at for their resources. While they've got a lot of use out of them, they're also toxic to the land around it.
The notion of massive demons walking Sanctuary 1,000 years ago is really thought-provoking.
Plateau's also got just this beautiful color scheme to the lighting. It's really lovely to be there. And then horrific at the same time, you know, it's great.
The mercenaries in Vessel of Hatred are a group of people who we like to describe as ordinary people with extraordinary skills. They have the same level of will to fight against the demons of hell.
And there's 4 mercs that you can collect over the course of the campaign. It starts with Rahir, a blacksmith and a shield bearer, is more a defensive fighter.
He's able to go in there and soak up damage, use his shield as a bulwark against the enemy.
You meet him early on in the campaign, and he's one who introduces you to the mercenary network. You end up finding acquisition quests for 3 other mercs that you can find throughout the course of the story.
Subo, the drunken archer, is going to work really well for people who want someone who's out of the main melee, in the back, offering utility and that kind of range support.
Then we have Variana, a berserker crone, who's a melee combat fighter, close range. She's got a really cool combat meter, a massacre meter, where you need to keep killing enemies to get the meter to be filled.
She's got a bunch of really interesting utility skills that you can kind of build in.
Finally, we have the demon child Aldkin, who's a magic user who can transform himself from human form to demon form and join you in combat.
There's this really great reinforcement ability where you can take one of the mercenary skills and attach it to one of your powers so that when you use that skill, it calls them in to do a specific skill.
With the mercenaries for Vessel of Hatred, one of the things we are expanding on is the skill tree. For Diablo 3, you had a very basic type of mercenary, but this time you can actually push a little bit more into the skill tree and make the mercenary the way you would want to play.
Going through each mercenary progression arc and outfitting their skill tree so that it's complementary to your character build, I think that's where the fun in the mercenary system really lies.
The Dark Citadel is a new in-game feature that's coming in Vessel of Hatred. It's an entirely cooperative player experience. All the mechanics within it are based around you working together with your party members to solve the challenges and face the first Khazra hordes within.
One of the outcomes of the Mage Wars is this giant crater and all the souls that were kind of lost in it from those wars.
The goal of the first Khazra, who are kind of the original Khazra, they're using the powers within the Citadel found within this crater to perform experiments to try and bring back their Dark God.
Only recently, people have started going missing. They head into the Khazra region, they disappear, never to be seen again. So it's clear that whatever they're planning is about to come to fruition, and your job as the players to get in there and stop it.
Citadels are a place where we take what is the best part of Diablo, combat, and we test it in a different way, which is adding in cooperative mechanics that you have to manage on top of that.
For example, a boss has an attack, and as a player, you have to collect an item that allows you to reflect the attack back at him. So there's a little bit of a Twitch level mechanic there where you actually have to time your reaction shot. What's interesting about it is when you get multiple people in there, we're each responsible for reflecting that shot once, so we all have to sort of master the timing of that move. You can't do that kind of thing without coordinating as a team, and that's sort of the example of what Citadel gameplay feels like.
When designing the Citadel, we designed a lot of really cool bosses. And so one of the things that we did is we took that design and made like armor sets for each of the classes. That way you feel like you took their armor and you feel like you're wearing a little bit of them after your victory.
We also have a currency that's dedicated to the Citadel where, as you play through, a vendor can be interacted with to buy custom cosmetics that are unique to the Citadel. You can play with 2 people, but the ideal experience is for 4. In order to facilitate that, we've built an all-new Party Finder feature, and the community has been pretty vocal about wanting this for a long time. It made a lot of sense to us to pair it with this new Citadel mode.
It really is an activity that's geared towards people who love to play together with their friends or with strangers and enjoy that cooperative gameplay. I cannot wait for players to get into the world. I'm really just excited for people to see all the little hidden storytelling elements that the team has fit in.
There's interesting things to find and see and discover around every corner, and it's just a really great experience getting to explore Nahantu.
Vessel of Hatred is the next big chapter in the story of Diablo 4. When we last left off, we had defeated Lilith, and Neyrelle was sailing south with Mephisto's Soulstone in hand. This is a tremendous burden for someone as young and untrained as Neyrelle. But somehow she has found the will to fight, challenging the primeval every step of the way. In this expansion, we follow their path as Neyrelle seeks salvation from Mephisto and searches for a way to banish him back to the Abyss.
As we wrap up Diablo 4, there has been a huge battle in hell between Inarius, the Cathedral of Lights, and Lilith and all of her demons.
Throughout this entire campaign in Diablo 4, you're basically trying to defeat Lilith, so you team up with people like Neyrelle, who's this young, eager character, and then you've got Laura, who is this sort of wise drunk. He was the Herodrim, so he brings this rounded, old-school thinking. He ends up being the catalyst of the group.
Inarius believed that if he killed Lilith, he would be accepted again by heaven. So he went after Lilith. He actually stabbed her, and heaven did not take him back. And he had this moment of, I've been wrong this entire time, and she used that against him and ended up killing Inarius. Her Her goal was to devour her father, Mephisto, and we ended up actually stopping her. And so even though she was defeated, she kind of gave us a warning of, I was the only one that could actually save you from Mephisto.
Nerel is left with the Soul Stone, and she decides to take the essence of Mephisto and trap him into the Soul Stone.
Lorath is still with us and is going to try and help us find information on where Nerel went.
And so we leave off with her sailing south with the stone, telling you, do not follow. The world might need you. And over time, things start to unfold, and you realize that Nerel cannot do this alone. And so you start your search for her. When we pick up in Vessel of Hatred, the Cathedral of Light is kind of in disarray.
It became a bit fractured with the death of Inarius, so there was a bit of a split with the Cathedral of Light afterwards.
This created an opening for a whole new sect to rise up and take things into their own hands. And so you end up with a militant wing of the church that is the Burnt Knights. Burnt Knights are led by Urivar, a survivor of hell. He's uncompromising. He feels that he's final judgment and that he's going to make better decisions for the church.
They battled in hell, and now they're on this manhunt for Nerel and for Lorath. They want them to pay for their crimes, and they think that they should be the ones that have a say on what happens to Sanctuary.
Mephisto is the Lord of Hatred. He's probably the one primeval that can create the most deep-rooted chaos, breaking up the people of Sanctuary.
In the events of Diablo 2, he was destroyed. He's been slowly resurrecting himself in hell, and he wants to come back and bring himself back to Sanctuary. And now that he is in this soul stone that Nerel carries, this is his opportunity.
The Herald of Hatred is Mephisto's wolf form. It's this astral projected form that he gets to put out and connect with the player and whisper in people's ears.
The connection between Nerel, the player, and Mephisto is the fate of the world. Nerel wants to get rid of him, but the more time she spends with the stone, the tighter the bond between her and the stone is.
The corrupting influence of Mephisto's soul stone is going to potentially convince her to bring Mephisto back instead of destroy him like she originally wanted. So we need to actually make sure that she fulfills her original intent and doesn't fall to Mephisto's influence.
Nerel plans to bring the Soul Stone into the Vault of Light so she can purify the Soul Stone of Mephisto's essence.
The Vault of Light is this really sacred place that Akarat created. His presence is really important through the history of Sanctuary.
Akarat wandered the world speaking the teachings of the Zakarum faith. His tomb is also said to be in the Vault of Light, which is in Nahantu.
Akarat is the one who discovered the spirit realm. When the World Stone was forged and Sanctuary came out of it, this veil was created, and that's what created the spirit realm. Demons aren't there, angels aren't there. It's a very special place for humanity. And for a long time, the spirit realm was not touched. And now Mephisto's corruption is creeping its way, and that's the fear that everybody in Nahantu is thinking about.
Spirituality is really unique to humanity, and in the jungle, it's a big part of their culture.
Aru is this elder, this magical being, a spirit born, and he's really connected to Nahantu. This is his home. This is his ancestral lineage, and he's guiding the player on this journey to help Nerel.
We actually find out that there have been sightings of Nerel in Nahantu, and we end up following her there.
In Vessel of Hatred, this is a story about isolation. We start off with the concept that Nerel is trying to do this alone, but at some point, you realize that things are escalating. And so we morph from this idea of isolation into the idea of being stronger together.
For someone that has been through the journey that our Wanderer has, that Nerel has been through, you feel there's hope that Sanctuary is not going to be lost.
You get to see pockets of Sanctuary that we haven't been able to see before, but it's still all in that same tone, in that same world that everybody loves so much.
Aslan. I know there will be no answer to this prayer. I've seen past the sanctuary. The darkness of the hells and the light of the heavens are the same. Humanity's struggles don't interest them. We're all pawns in their never-ending war. But this soul stone exhausts me. With so long to go. So I ask for guidance, for help, for something to drown out the hate. Or is that just the river? It's getting hard to know the difference sometimes. Even if I could sleep, he whispers to me. It takes everything I have to remember who I am, to keep Mephisto at bay. This is a fight I think I'm losing. Drowning in hatred. And what help is coming? This all began with a child's innocent curiosity. I only wanted answers to why things were the way they were. My mother told me the Haradrim had those answers. So I devoured their legends, their histories, their writings. I read about the founding of the original Haradric Order by the Archangel Tyrael, of Tal Rash's heroic sacrifice. Held Deckard Cain's great works, and the last of them is my most stubborn friend, Lorath. I studied their greatest triumphs. And their many failures, too. They seemed so wise from a distance. And for a time, I was with them, determined to carry on their legacy of justice and protection. But now I see the Haradrim for what they are. Flawed,
scared people. Stumbling through the darkness with nothing but a sputtering candle for guidance. And if we find the light, does it not sear through us? The heavens and the hells alike see us as insects, fighting battles we cannot win, pushed and pulled into our places like puppets on a string. I was brought up on stories of courage that now read like desperation. Acts of bravery that only end in death!
No! No. I watched my mother surrender to hatred on the shores of the Black Lake. I won't be like her! I have lost so much. My family, my body, and now my mind. But I can take one more step, and one more breath. Battle one more time. One time, many times. I have learned to be relentless. Or maybe I've always known how. Maybe our legends are what we make of them. Brave, or foolish, or desperate. We've won before. Against every odd, the Wanderer cast Lilith down. I read first-hand accounts of Diablo's fall beneath Tristram, and Bale's attempt to corrupt the Worldstone, of Mephisto's defeat in the durance of hate. Defeated, but not destroyed. This stone has left enough poison in its wake. It must be destroyed at any cost. And my last chance to do that is coming fast. I can carry this until then, guided by the strength of everyone who came before me. Lorath, Donan, my mother, the Wanderer. So, to anyone or anything listening, lend me your strength. And when I find my journey's end, I know I will not stand alone.
그 입에서는 증오가 피어나왔다.
제 동료 네이르를 찾고 있습니다. 이곳 어딘가에 있을 겁니다.
이단전 네이르는 신성한 심판에서 도망쳤다. 네이르는 어디 있지?
이나리오스님의 죽음으로 우리 신앙에 균열이 생겼다. 우리바르의 행동은 그 균열을 산산이 조각냈고
도움이 필요한 자에게는 도움이 주어지기 마련이지.
네가 그토록 그리던 동력을 선사해주마.
My beloved friends, joy and peace be with you. May the light that guides your path shine bright. I write to you from an unnamed crossroads, days from any place of comfort, where two caravans of hardened travelers have paused to embrace joy and peace and laughter around a campfire together. Watching these strangers turn to friends, I am reminded to be mindful of my present, even as I contemplate the effects of my past and the shape of a future yet to be written. Life on Shansai, the place of my birth, was as arduous as these wildlands. Perhaps in some ways, more so. My parents fought and worked with exhaustive determination to make a place of safety for our family. But every success seemed to be built on quicksand. I cannot understand what drives people to keep so much when others suffer for so little. Who would rather speak first with blades than words? Who watch children forgo innocent pursuits to beg on the streets for want of bread and shelter? And then those same children are forced to watch as monsters and demons are conjured before their eyes and wielded like weapons against their homes, their families, their very lives. The survivors left scavenging middens created from the excess of mage clans and religious cults seeking an unobtainable level of strength. What safety can be found in such a design? When I joined one of Shansai's meditative orders to seek enlightenment, contemplating the complexities and contradictions of the human spirit, I could not have prepared for the revelation I received. We've spoken of my vision many times, of the light and energy racing across Sanctuary's sky, a manifestation of the cosmic radiance that binds everything together, the foundation of existence itself made visible, of understanding humanity's unique place within, connected by the Zakara, the light that burns unfaltering in every one of us. One cannot experience such profundity and not be compelled to act. Action begins within, and the rejection of the things that bring so many comfort has earned me the title of ascetic. I think they would be surprised at how rich I am. My travels have been filled with discovery, including new truths about myself. The unknown is often frightening, but when we are connected to one another, to sanctuary, to our own inner light, I cannot help but be filled with wonder at what all there is to discover. The human spirit is complex, and understanding it, a life's work. Each of you, my kindred, have shown me the countless ways in which people can serve the light within, each with your own strengths, and when united, what is not attainable? It has been one of my purest joys to walk paths I would not have known were it not for you, to approach the unknown with respect and awe instead of fear. Sometimes, when one is sitting at a crossroads beside a fire, their feet buried in the ground and the night sky clear above, discovery feels like peace. I find myself being called home to Nahantu, the lands of my mother's people. My parents chose to share the trials and burdens of this life together, but even so, my mother always carried a deeper sorrow, one my father could not assuage, one that unites all Umbaru refugees across Sanctuary, a yearning for a home corrupted by hatred. For generations, we've passed down stories of a land of abundance teeming with vitality before it was beset by an insatiable, ravenous, bloodied wolf, a massive beast that leaves disease and corruption in its wake, strange monsters called the Hollows spreading along its path to taint every corner of the land. There are whispers of lost knowledge and great magics there, and suffering without end. Malevolence that can corrupt even the most robust of spirits. My mother, like so many others, lived only with the hope of change. Let this, then, mark the start of a new beginning. Even a wolf deserves to rest. Akarat.
No one knows what it's like to be the bad man, be the sad man behind blue eyes. No one knows what it's like to be hated, to telling only lies. But they aren't as empty as my conscience seems to be. I have hours only lonely. My love has been still afraid. No one bites back as hard. Their anger, none of my pain and woe can show. Feelings like I do. and I blame you.
Based on player feedback, and with the launch of Vessel of Hatred on October 8th, we're making big changes to existing systems in the game. We want the player's journey to feel meaningful and for players to understand exactly where they are in the game in terms of power. I have help today from Adam Fletcher, who's the Associate Director of Community for Diablo, and Aislinn Hall, who's a systems designer here on the team. Welcome. Aislinn will be answering some questions we picked out from social media, so thank you, community, for submitting these questions. Let's jump right into it. World tiers are gone. So now while leveling up your character, you'll have 4 difficulty choices to choose from: normal, hard, expert, and penitent. As you go up in difficulty, you'll gain more experience points and gold find. So now you can customize your leveling journey how you want. Maybe you find a kick-ass item and want to push your character a little bit harder. Well, now you can. Also, from levels 1 to 15 on any difficulty, we replaced the material drops you would have received with items, like armor and weapons. In addition, the Butcher and Treasure Goblins will drop a guaranteed legendary at any level, so chase away, or run away if it's an early game Butcher. Existing characters are being set to level 50, but the new max character level is 60. With this, players are gaining 10 more skill points, opening up even more build possibilities. And you're able to put points into ultimate abilities now, giving them an even greater impact. We'll talk about Paragon later on in this video, but also at level 60, the pit opens up, and pit progression is how you're going to unlock the endgame difficulties. We're calling them Torments 1, 2, 3, and 4. To unlock Torment 1 difficulty, you'll need to clear a pit level of 20, either solo or in a group. For Torment 2, it's pit tier 35. For 3, it's pit tier 50, and for Torment 4, it's level 65. The pit itself has been rebalanced. For example, this version of tier 65 is more challenging than before, but its rewards are punchier. We think is a nice quality of life change. So the pit puts a lot of emphasis on getting to the end and completing it before the timer runs out. So we're moving glyph leveling from Nightmare Dungeons to the pit. We feel that these playstyles are more in line with each other, and in Nightmare Dungeons, players sometimes feel punished for exploring around, so we're moving masterworking materials from the pit to Nightmare Dungeons. So now you won't feel bad for taking a wrong turn or exploring a bit, since you'll be gaining masterworking materials either way.
Previously, when you were going through the pit, you'd get all your masterworking materials at the end. But now in Nightmare Dungeons, you're going to be able to go and, like Ruben said, kill all these monsters, explore all these little nooks and crannies, and you're going to get masterworking materials from all those different places, which really fits with the Nightmare Dungeon playstyle.
Before I get into the glyph leveling, I wanted to mention that Ancestral and Mythic Uniques start dropping in Torment 1. They will always have at least 1 greater affix and always drop at the maximum item level, which is now 800. Non-ancestral items cap out at 750. So on Glyph XP, we're removing it. Now you upgrade your glyphs with attempts. Here's how you gain attempts and level up your glyphs. You gain 3 attempts from successfully completing a pit level, and you gain 1 bonus attempt when you don't die during the run. So 4 possible chances. To help you catch lower level glyphs up, every 20 level difference between the completed pit tier and glyph rank grants a bonus upgrade per attempt. We'll put a link to our blog in the description down below if anyone is interested in more detail, but that's essentially how the upgrade system works. On the topic of glyphs, the levels are being increased from 21 to 100. At level 45, a rare glyph can be upgraded to a legendary glyph, which increases the radius from 4 to 5 and gives the glyph 1 additional affix. Okay, time for Paragon boards. Each class is getting 1 completely new Paragon board. These boards each have a new legendary node to help support more builds and playstyles. With legendary glyphs and new powers coming in, we've decided to reduce the amount of Paragon boards you can use to 5, including the starter board, which helps to make your choices more important and helps your build come online faster, since you won't have to link so many things together for it to function. Paragon levels are also being increased from 200 to 300, but players will all get the build-defining parts of Paragon at around 200. So from there, it's about getting rare and magic nodes, which are much more incremental in power, so you don't have to feel bad if you're not hitting Paragon 300. Basically, players can get what they absolutely need first for their build, then grab other nodes they might find useful. With so many Paragon levels to earn, they now apply realm-wide, so this level is now shared across characters within respective standard and hardcore partitions once your character hits max level. For example, a new season starts up and you make a seasonal character. After reaching level 60, you will start earning Paragon levels. Let's say you eventually make it to Paragon level 200. Now when you make an additional seasonal character within the season, you'll be able to tap into your current seasonal Paragon level of 200 once that character hits max level. Seasonal Realm Paragon resets every season. However, all the earned Paragon XP will be added to your current Eternal Realm Paragon when the season ends.
That was great, Adam. Thank you for the rundown. One extra thing I want to chime in with is that those additional 100 Paragon points are intended to be icing on the cake for your build. The first 200 points are intended for your character to become well-defined, and then the extra 100 is just a bit of extra fun you can have in the world of Sanctuary.
Aislinn, let's pick your brain a little bit more. We have some community questions from that social post I mentioned earlier, so let's get into it. King Jiang asks, what are our plans for visual clarity during dungeons or any activity really?
So we know we get a lot of feedback on Red and Helltides, and so something that you might notice in the Helltides is that we've adjusted the lighting. This is something that we want to improve on in all activities in the game, so you'll see more improvements in the future.
Dallas says, what's the plan for masterworking materials and Stygian stones come Season 6? Should players use or convert these before then?
Players won't need to worry about converting these before Season 6. In Season 6, we're going to have systems in place that allow you to convert your masterworking materials into the new masterworking material that you'll need to upgrade your gear. Additionally, in Season 6, Stygian stones won't be needed to summon tormented bosses anymore, but because of that, we're going to be increasing the sell price of them so that you can get a hefty amount of moolah.
8-Bit Bandit asks, how will torment bosses be affected with the new world difficulty update?
In Season 6, tormented bosses are going to be available on all 4 torment tiers. That means that they're going to drop really good loot starting in Torment 1, and then drop even more of that in Torment 4. It also means that no matter how powerful your build is, you're going to have a hard version of that boss to fight.
Flower asks, since torment difficulty tiers drastically change resistance penalties, and with the introduction of grand gems, will there be any changes or scaling to gem fragment drops as difficulty increases?
There absolutely will. So in higher torment tiers, you are going to be earning more gem fragments, which is going to allow you to reach the new grand tier a lot faster. So buff up your build so that you can get to the higher gem tiers as quick as you can.
James Cossins asks, when the expansion comes out on October 8th, will I be able to create a Spiritborn, go through the whole main quest line with Lilith, and then progress through Vessel of Hatred?
Absolutely. So we want you to be able to experience any element of the game's story on any character, and the Spiritborn is no exception. If you'd like to start a new Spiritborn, play through the original campaign, and then go through Vessel of Hatred, you're totally within your rights to do that.
Thanks again, Aislinn, for answering all these wonderful questions. That's going to be all for us today. We really appreciate you watching, and we're excited for the launch of Vessel of Hatred.
There will be additional links to our blogs in the description below. We'll see everyone in Nahatu.